Right, everybody, so here we go with the third round facing a 2100 opponent, and this game is vital because with a victory, I could start building a streak and potentially fight for a tournament victory. So I open up the game with d4. We have knight f6, knight to c3, and after d5, starting position of the Jobava London, and my opponent is pausing, thinking about what should I have for dinner? Or maybe what should I have for tomorrow breakfast? Because this is the effect that jobava London will have on your opponents. And after he decided to play with c5, I always go for this e3 move. Very important. Do not go knight b5 because queen a5 is a problem because your knight is unprotected. So start with e3 on c5. Also, do not take it because d4 and same problem. You don't have a good square for the knight. So very important, e3. And this is my favorite move. And after bishop f5, this is already a huge mistake. Allowing knight b5 and now I was not in a danger of getting checked because my knight is protected by the bishop, which is a huge difference. And I'm getting the so-called Excalibur knight. And you can already see the eval bar. White has a pretty massive advantage. About +1. And after the next move, I actually got a chance to even increase my lead to a bigger advantage. So my opponent spending a lot of time very early on in the game. And remember that this is a really strong player. We have a solid 2100 junior that was definitely caught a little bit by surprise against the Jobava London. Because let's face it, with all the main lines, who prepares against such a sideline? And after queen e5, the move that he played, I actually missed the opportunity to take on c5, which would have given me a +2 advantage with b4. The position is like almost resignable for black. dc5, genuinely winning after 6 moves against a strong opponent. I don't know what other opening you can really use to get such an effect. Anyways, we have c4 and you can see my knight is nicely protected. And I started going for f3. So there are many ways of playing what I like to call the Excalibur knight structure in the Jobava. But I decided to go for this pawn storm against bishop f5 to combine the two plans. And my opponent went for a pretty interesting g6. I mean, I was expecting him to move the other pawn, but pawn storm is pretty scary. So he went fianchetto. I played b3. And this pretty much has a huge threat of taking and then playing e4, taking the center. So during the game, it felt like taking on b3 is the only possible move. And after bishop g7, my problem is that, okay, if I develop the bishop to the only available square, then my knight is running out of squares. So I'm starting with g4. You cannot take with a knight, as that would drop d5. So he plays bishop e6. And the whole point of my move was to downgrade his bishop so that I can actually get a nice square for mine. And, okay, white is still better, but the position starts to be a mess. And my opponent actually did a pretty good job in getting me out of book. And now rook ac8 is a fairly sneaky idea. It looks like knight takes on a7 is simply a blunder. I mean, why is white not collecting a free pawn? Well, I don't know. Is it really a free pawn? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. You can try to pause the video and find a good move for black. The positional trap that my opponent has prepared. Because of course, knight takes on a7 was not a good move. There would have been knight c5. And if you take dc, black wins back the knight and our pawn structure has been ruined. Come on, guys. Knight takes on a7. You think that everything that flies can be eaten. Well, it's not like that on the chessboard. So h4, resisting the poison pawn. And after h5, don't really have much of a choice. I do not want to take, as that will dramatically improve my opponent's knight. So I go g5, taking space, and making the enemy piece slightly more passive. Opponent goes knight to d7, and there is always this knight a7, but yeah, just no need to enter such muddy waters. So I play king f2, even nicer than castling. The rook could potentially be useful in the attack, and the king can offer some protection for f2. I'm not afraid on the duel of the distance. It's hardly that black ever opens up the rook. So we have rook a8, just a move because my opponent has to do something. It's kind of low on time, by the way. You cannot really see it. The clock in this game, it's a little bit like John Cena. You cannot see it. But yeah, apologies. I didn't expect during the game when we had to position the clocks that the queen and knight will sit in the way. So bishop g3. Very standard move, preparing to improve the position of my knight. Knight to b6, heading towards c4. Did anyone open a bag of Doritos on that side, or what is up with all these pieces? Anyways, I have to go with the flow. I can't go for any pawn push. I'm just improving the knight, and if you move the bishop, I can arguably take on d5. So my opponent goes rook fc8, which feels very fishy. I mean, opponent was in a very uncomfortable situation. Now his position collapses. After knight to c4, he wants some knight e2 business, but then what? So I was sure white is winning with many moves, but we're starting to get down on the clock. I believe I'm also down to my last seconds. And after e5, yeah, my opponent is desperately striving for counterplay, but my queen is about to enter. King f8 trying to run away, but f takes e5, e6, and this has to be a mating net. I just couldn't pinpoint the fastest checkmate, but there's no way my opponent's getting out of this with all of his pieces on the queen side. And yeah, queen takes h5, king f8, king e2, king e7. And after rook f1, threatening to penetrate on f7, winning the bishop, queen to h7, there was no way to defend. So opponent resigns. And honestly, if you get stuck in an elevator between two sumo fighters, you probably have more room to maneuver other than what my opponent got into this game. So after starting the tournament, winning the first 3 games, I actually got paired against the Grandmaster. So make sure to like the video to bring me the good vibes and the good luck and hopefully the good moves. And I will see you guys in the next one.